What's up, guys? This is the follow-up video to the UFC on ESPN video. It's going to be KSW, Combate, and Bellator. So again, guys, ton of fights this weekend. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through these, give you the names that can go along with some of those names from the first video. If this is the first video you're clicking on, go back to UFC final picks, and you can pull any other parlay options off of that video as well. So let's just get straight into it. Now, Costello Venstinas and John Salter. This is a really interesting fight, guys. This is not the best card for Bellator, but this fight is pretty good. So Venstinas, to me, has the potential to win the fight. But the thought in the back of my head that makes it so that I'm not confident is Salter has looked really good as of late, especially with his grappling. Now, he's always been a strong grappler, we know that, but he's had some really impressive performances, some quick wins in Bellator. In my opinion, Bellator has some really high-level fighters, but UFC is still a notch above, and I feel like Salter coming in with that UFC experience did a lot for him, and it showed. I think last fight, Nick Joanny, I forget, I don't want to butcher his name, but the guy was a decent striker, but Salter just made it look easy with the grappling. Now, Venstinas is also good on the ground. If you watch tape, he's skilled on the ground. He'll do well in scrambles. He likes to go for taking the back, good at putting the hooks in quick. Like, he knows his way around on the ground. But with Salter, it's hard to say that Venstinas has an advantage there. I'd say that at very best it would be close to even, but I still think Salter has the wrestling advantage. The grappling advantage, wrestling advantage, whatever, jiu-jitsu, all the way around. But Venstinas is close behind. Stand-up advantage, though, in my opinion, goes to Venstinas. I do like the way he fights on the feet. He fights long. Looks like he has some good kickboxing. I feel like Salter is just kind of in that position in his career where he's not in his prime. He's not really on his way out. He's just kind of floating. He'll never really be the champ. And it's not anything against him. He's just one of those super average fighters in my eyes. And I feel like Venstinas has, a brighter future. Whether that shines through here or not is hard to say. He's at about a 2.2 right now. And I would, say that if he gets to 2.5, or no, 2.7, I'd like it. 2.7, I'd say that's a nice bet. Maybe even 2.5. He is a good fighter. It's a matchup that I don't really know how it's going to play out, how much better Salter is in the grappling or how much better Venstinas is in the striking. It's not necessarily a striker versus grappler, but I do feel like Salter's going to want to get it to the ground. Without spending too much time on it, guys, I feel like I've already spent too much time on it. I'm going to go with Venstinas just because of the potential. I feel like he's going to be a problem in the future. But Salter definitely could pull a submission off here, guys, or a naked choke. It's his bread and butter. But I'll go Venstinas. Line's pretty accurate at 2.2. If it gets up to 2.5 or more, don't be afraid to take a shot on Venstinas. Mohamed Lawal and Andrew Capel. I feel like the line's off here. I don't think Mo should be that much of a favorite to anybody at this point. He hasn't really impressed me in years. The guy he's fighting, has one decision and 3 finishes out of his last 4 fights. So he is on a bit of a winning streak, and he does have, kind of the wins that would show that he can hang. I mean, a decision is a good thing to see. So, to know that he has the cardio. So it's off at those odds. I wouldn't put Mo in a parlay or anything. I would stay away. That's another thing I'll say too, guys. A lot of the advice that I give too, even though sometimes I might say, or a lot of times I might say, not interested. It's also good, to listen to the, staying away from fighters as well. The advice to not touch it, like, avoid putting Mo in a parlay. It's just as good of advice as who to put in a parlay, because you can avoid losing a lot of money putting iffy fighters with shitty odds in parlays. Next up is Leslie Smith and Arlene Blencow. Now, this for me is another parlay option. It's just like the last fight for the UFC card. It's one of those ones. It's hard for me to have a lean. I mean, Leslie Smith has the experience, has fought the better competition. Arlene's on a win streak, I think about 5 or 6 fights. She's younger, is going to probably be more hungry. Leslie's, getting up there a bit in age and is probably on the tail end of her career. So I do feel this will go to a decision. Could go either way. Same boat as the other women's fight there on the UFC card. So putting these two to go to a decision, or those two fights on the over, is again another thing to put on your list with the other parlay options. Next up, Tyrell Fortune, Azuna Anoa'i. Now here's the thing, guys. There's no value in Tyrell Fortune because he's at 1.2 or 1.18 to 1.2 on the dot, not even like 1.25, just straight at the very best 1.2. So obviously no straight bet. Thing is, with all the different parlay options this weekend, I'm not hesitant to throw him in with those because of the fact I do think he'll win. You're not going to straight bet him anyway. And for the guys that are going to be parlaying crazy this weekend, which is going to happen, I do like to give them plays as well. For the guys that are super strict and that are following only the strategy and the bankroll that you made, to follow, all those tips and tricks from the videos that I've made previous, might stay away from putting Tyrell in any plays, along with any of the other massive favorites, right? It's not a bad thing. When people say, fuck that, I don't want to touch that, I'm staying away. I completely understand where you're coming from, and I don't blame you. It's just, the thing is, some people want to take advantage of every fight that, has a strong lean. So I do really think for sure Tyrell should be able to get the win here. So there's that part of it. And at 1.2, it's not like it's, 1.1, like it's still a little bit of a parlay option, right? At 1.2. You get 3 1.2s that you're super confident in, and you can only do super confident 3-fight parlays, guys. I really want to stress that. If you're going to put more than 2 fighters together, they have to be super confident. But at 1.2, you can get to close to plus money with 3 fighters, right? So there is options that you can go to. I have done it lots of times to get it to plus money, 3-fight parlays, 3 fighters. But it's only on weekends like this where you have a lot of options, right? And when there is so many options, you can run a whole bunch of different parlays for smaller money. You don't have to go and, break your bank on parlays, right? It's interesting on weekends like this. Don't repeat fighters either, guys. Please don't repeat fighters a lot. Like if you put Tyrell Fortune in a parlay, cool. Now he's off the list. You see what I'm saying? Maybe your super confident ones, if he was one of them, you could do 2, The most I've ever done is maybe 3 or 4 with Mighty Mouse. And it was on a weekend like this, and it was a mismatch, and his odds were better than they should have been. So it has happened. It's just you got to be super confident, and they did all hit. It was the first week, actually, that I did this channel. Is the most recent, weekend I went crazy with parlays, and it's all listed on that video. Anybody who wants to go back and check every fighter on those videos, I think it was like 7, every single one hit, and they were all put in different variations of parlays. So it does happen, guys, and there's already proof. I mean, we've been on a good run. Every fight pick, I did 5 picks last weekend. Every fight pick almost doubled your money, right? Like they were all 1.9, 2.0, 2.5, and 4 out of 5 of them hit. So we're on a good run. And if you have been building up your bankroll and you have a nice stack there, now don't get me wrong when I say this, but you can do a couple extra risky bets. Now, if you start doing a lot, you're going to lose that bankroll. It's just if you want a bit more action on the fights and you see value, you still have to see value. Never just bet on a fighter that you think is going to win. You definitely need to see the value there. So, but you can, fights that you do see is a little closer, but you still want to put some money down because you do have a lean. It's okay once you're built up a bit, but you have to have a substantial bankroll, and you still have to stick to the game plan to continue to grow it. And that's why I wanted to stress that on a weekend like this where there's a lot of parlays, guys, is keep that discipline in your head, because it's easy when you see 80 fighters, to bet on, to just go crazy with it, right? And that's not even including the props for UFC. That adds another, 3 or 4 options per fight. Your head's going to be fucking spinning by the time you're done looking through all these cards. So we got Tyrell Fortune there to add to the list. Now here's another one that's slightly off in my opinion, guys. Julius Angelica's up at 2.75. I don't think he should be that much of a dog. Again, this is another situation. Should be about a 2.0. And he's a 2.7. So you got about a 0.7 on the book there. Now, there is 2 fights from these guys. They're a fight each up on YouTube. this is one I did research on over the last couple days, so I think it's a good example. Just go watch one from each and tell me what you think. Jordan Young, in the fight that I watched, he, wasn't doing great on the feet. He was hanging. He was okay. He wasn't getting, outclassed or anything, but he was also taken down. He was able to pull off a nice submission, though. So it showed that he was good off his back and he could pull a triangle, but he was, getting caught a little bit on the feet and he did get taken down. So there was, it wasn't like he was dominant in that performance. And Angelicus does have a bit of a wrestling background. He can strike. I think he's out of actually Tiger Muay Thai, if I'm correct. Now, I did see him in the fight, if you watch it, too. These are good fights to watch because it does have indicators in both. He does get clipped a couple times. Julius does in his fights. But he's able to recover pretty quick, and he does end up getting the win. And you can see that he's pretty good with the takedowns, gets the hooks in quick, decent on the ground. So I do feel like him at 2.7 is off. Maybe warranted to be a bit of a dog. But again, 2.0 would be accurate. So you do have a bit of room here. Watch the tape, I recommend, because that will really only take you guys less than half hour. So I feel it's off, and I wouldn't be mad at anybody who decides to take a shot on Julius. Next up, Jana Harding, Amanda Bell. I don't think this is up for betting, guys. I think at this point we're out of fights for betting. So what we'll do here is look at one of these other cards coming up. KSW was the other one that we didn't look at. So off of this card, guys, quick to reiterate, to add to the list of names, Tyrell Fortune is a possibility, okay, and the female fight to go the distance. I like Van Steenis if his odds improve, and Julius here lines off. All right, so now we're going to get into KSW. Hopefully we can keep this to about 20 minutes. All right. So what do I have here for KSW? I did actually write down a couple ones for these because there were so many fights. Give me one sec, guys. All right. So I think, all right, so you are able to bet on, okay, so Ollie Thompson and Delija. I'm not going to butcher these names, guys. I'll just go by last name. I do think Delija has a bit of value in the parlay list, guys, right here, Anti-Delija or whatever. Now, it's not one of the ones, it's if you're like really, it's one of those hunting ones, right? He's not the best option, right? But he is, I do like him to win. Same with Filip Pejic. I do like him to win as well. So those two, more so Pejic though. Also on this card, now I'm only mentioning the fighters that are up for availability on the betting sites. Sorry about the crazy scrolling there, guys. Also, Urslan as well. Ivan Urslan. I do like him to win. Rasic as well. Now, Stasiak has some good ground. I mean, he could pull off a submission, but I like Rasic. Also, Manowski right there. Boris Janowski. That's a little bit closer, though. And Urko Junin, I'm not even going to butcher that one either, but that's a close fight. So that one I'm going to stay away from the main event. Now, Manowski or Mankowski is a possible parlay option. Kestic and this, I'm going to stay away from that fight. Stasiak and Rasic here. I like Rasic as a parlay option. Same with Urslan. Pejic and Delija. All these are possible options, guys. But what I'm going to do, and also Kuzbowski here, but the problem with him is he hasn't been out of the first round. He stopped everybody. He's been pretty dominant. That is actually a red flag for me, though, guys, because, certain fighters will use the game plan to see if they can gas them out, and we don't know, so it's an unknown. So I'm going to stay away from that. So, just a few options there, guys. If you have some time, I'd look into them a bit as well, but just some more names to add to your list that kind of stood out to me. Also, the last card, where are we at here? We did Bellator, we did KSW. There was one other, Combate. Where's that one at? You know what? For Combate, we might actually have to go into the fight center. I wonder if I can do it through here. Just bear with me for a second, guys. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's Combate. So it's coming up tonight, guys. I don't know. I don't think there's too many names on here. Oh, this is another parlay option. He probably got his lines already got hammered, though. I'm sure of it. Where is this fight? Yeah. So Andy Perez and Ray Rodriguez. Ray Rodriguez is another parlay option. He's one of the more strong ones. He was at 1.2, but I'm sure his line went down. I mean, even just looking at it on paper, 7-10 to 15-6 here. And he can be a parlay option, more confident, along with maybe Khabib, or not Khabib, Nurmagomedov, and him, along with, oh man, what was the other one I was looking at? There's a couple of them there, guys. That's what I'm saying. The ones that I had the stronger leans, more confident, this is going to be one of them. With all the names that I put out there, Tyrell Fortune, Ray Rodriguez, and Nurmagomedov might be a good option there. And if not Nurmagomedov, like, you might want to do Rodriguez. I was going to say even maybe pair it with a decision. But there is some good ones. Tyrell Fortune and Rodriguez together will probably get you to about 150. That should hit. Rodriguez and thing will hit, right? But if you want to add another leg to that to get it closer to plus money, that's a good option. It's just with all the names there, that's why I said write them down. He's a more confident one. Him and Tyrell Fortune are probably the most confident, but their odds are the shittiest, right? That's why, you can't straight bet them. I probably won't do much with them. I'll probably do one strong parlay with a decent amount of money on it with the names I like the most, to be honest. But I'll just move on, guys. I don't want to, get into a ramble here. Justin Governale. This is one I did notice it was a bit off. I think Governale's fighting out of Tiger Muay Thai, if I remember correctly. And I do feel like, I think he's a decent dog. If he's still up over 2.5, he's worth a shot as well. Those lines are off. If not, just avoid the fight altogether. But if he is still up there high as a big dog, take a shot on that as well. If you can get the over on Melissa Cervantes and Nadine, you might want to take a shot on that as well, depending on what site you use. And then now I think we've covered KSW. Yeah, we did. Now, there's also one named Milos Jimenisic, I think, on KSW. I'll just go in there quick, actually, since I can see it right here. I don't know if I went over him. It's almost done here, guys. Just wanted to double check on this real quick. This is just steroided out. Look at this guy. Holy shit. Yeah, a lot of steroided out fighters in this organization here, guys. Not a whole lot of USADA style testing going on. Is he even here? Sorry, just one sec. Yeah, Milos Janisic. If he's still a decent dog, he's worth a shot as well. Those odds are off. So, a bunch of names there. You got some names that are off. A lot of options here, guys. I know it's kind of hard to pick. That's why I said, maybe watch some tape. It doesn't take a long time, man. That's why I tell you guys, write the names down, and you'd be surprised once you lock in and say, okay, I'm just going to set aside a few minutes just to have a look. Now the fight game pulled the names out for me, and saved me a bunch of time. Now I'll just take a bit of time for myself and, reassure, and then that way you'll feel good about it. Now, if you just want to, take the list that you've made, pick the names, put them together because you have the cash to do so, I'm not mad at that. I'm just saying I like to give out, tips that will give you confidence in your bet as well, right? Or your bets. It's all part of the game, right? Mindset, confidence. It all goes into, just getting on the winning track and growing your bankroll, right, guys? So just use your better judgment. Always go with your gut. Keep the parlays small if you can. You have so many names there. Do a bunch of different 2-man parlays, maybe a 3 or 4-man one. But just really be confident with it. Look into the fights. There's a ton of fights on this weekend, as I've said a bunch of times already. So, enjoy them, guys, because, a lot of them you'll be able to see online. I do think, I don't know now because of this app, DAZN. I don't know how much of the MMA content it's scooped up and how much you can still watch online, but a lot of these fights will be available. I think Cage Warriors is going to be on Fight Pass. That was up for betting as well, but I didn't see any good value. I think there was 3 fights, and none of them were inaccurate. So again, I think I pulled a good list for you guys. I hope you can put together some nice parlays. I'm here if you guys want to run them by me. And I hope you guys have another good, successful winning weekend, and we can make it 5 straight. It's been a crazy first run. And again, guys, if anybody who hasn't subscribed yet, trying to grow the channel here, get the MMA community, or get a community started, focus strictly on betting and, helping each other out. I'm never going to charge for bets. I'm never going to ask you guys for money or anything like that. But I am going to win you money, and I have done that for a lot of people already. So if I can work those analytics out to, a little bit better than 50% of the people subscribed, that's how you can pay me back for all the money that I win you, is to help me grow the channel. And I appreciate it. So other than that, guys, I think we've covered everything. And ton of fights. Good luck with the bets. Appreciate you guys for watching. I'll see you on the next one.